can order your copy of my 2021 NFL Draft Guide today. What you'll get is over 550 individual prospect scouting reports like you see here, a ton of information that'll help you keep track of who your favorite team drafts or even signs as a free agent. It's all here, over 650 full color pages in PDF form. You can order your copy at the following link, footballgameplan.com/2021 draft guide. Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook here with Football Game Plan Scouting, and you know what that means. The NFL Draft and CFL Draft for 2021 is rapidly approaching, and it's time to get into our prospect rankings for this year's draft class. And before we get started, let's take a look at what the grades that you'll see by the prospects actually mean. We're talking quarterbacks today, and we'll start with the top prospect of this year's class, and it's Clemson Tigers QB Trevor Lawrence. To me, he's as polished as a prospect as you'll find in this draft class. From a touch, timing, accuracy, and mobility standpoint, he has it all. Also, he's played in a lot of games, logging a lot of starts in his 3 seasons, including some playoff and title games. So he's battle-tested and more than apt to start day one for a franchise and play really well. At number 2, I have Justin Fields from Ohio State. You want to talk about playing in big games. Had Fields stayed at Ohio State one more season, his resume would have looked a lot like Trevor Lawrence's. Fields has that Deshaun Watson-like killer instinct in his game, and to me, that's worth his weight in gold. He's unafraid of pressure, both of the moment and from opposing defenses. His mobility makes him a +1 in the run game, and he's got that ability to put the ball wherever he wants to on the field. And at number 3, I have Zach Wilson from BYU. If you go back and watch his 2019 game against USC, you got a chance to see a lot of what his potential could be as a pro player. He's a find-a-way-to-win kind of guy, someone that can make many multiple platform throws and throws with very good velocity. His potential arrow is trekking in the right direction and has all of the requisite physical skills to play at the NFL level. Now let's take a look at the rest of the top 10. Mac Jones reminds me a lot of Matt Hasselbeck. He's a good point guard QB that has the accuracy you want at the position that aids run after catch opportunities for those wide receivers. Trey Lance is a small college prospect who has a lot of major college tools like arm, mobility, and situational awareness. He's a bit of a high-risk upside player, but coming from that North Dakota State program, he's the type of risk that you want to take. Jamie Newman, Kellen Mond, and Ian Book are all coming off solid weeks of work at the Reese's Senior Bowl, with the latter two, Mond and Book, not only having great weeks, but improving their stock this season as well. Mond actually took home the game MVP honors this past January, and Felipe Franks out of Arkansas rounds out our top 10, having transferred from Arkansas to Arkansas this season from Florida, and like Mond and Book, he was able to improve his stock this year as well. Let's go back to number 6 on that list with Donald Hammond III out of Air Force. He was excellent last season for the Falcons in their triple option offense and was highly impressive as a passer. He didn't play this fall, but studying his 2019 film, you saw a prospect that obviously has the running skills, but it was the passing ability that really caught your attention. He throws with great velocity, can throw well on the move, and his downfield passing field vision was the most underrated part of his game in my opinion, especially considering that he didn't throw the football much in that triple option offense. So he elected to declare for the NFL draft and has a lot of NFL tools and upside that a team would be willing to stash and develop further. Keep an eye out for the 6'2", 220-pound former Air Force Falcon. Let's move on to the next 10 quarterbacks, 11 through 20 if you will, and there is a ton of production here on this list. Shane Buechele out of SMU feels like he's been in college forever. In fact, he battled it out with Sam Ehlinger back at Texas before transferring to SMU, where he went on to a highly productive career for the Mustangs. Zach Thomas, I feel the same way about him as I do Buechele. He was a 4-year starter at App State and helped lead a juggernaut of a program in the Sun Belt Conference. Kevin Thompson of Washington was a star at Sacramento State before transferring this spring or summer to the Huskies program, where he ended up opting out, but he's got some serious ability. Go back and watch his game at Sacramento State. So does Brady Davis out of Illinois State, who opted out this spring season with the Redbirds, but has the arm talent of Josh Allen. This dude legit has an hose for an arm, and it'll be interesting to see where he ends up as a pro player. But let's go back to the top of that list at number 11 with Sam Ehlinger out of Texas. He was one of the more accomplished quarterbacks who, like Trevor Lawrence, logged a lot of starts in big games in his career. Ehlinger has a dual threat capability to play well in today's game and is a solid red zone option because of his ability to run. He got better every year at Texas and should carve out a lengthy career as a pro. Now, Kyle Trask nearly won the Heisman Trophy this year. That's how good of a season he had at Florida in 2020. What impressed me the most, especially early on in the season, was how consistent his placement was at all levels of the field. He's not the most mobile guy and will have to be well protected in the pocket, but he's got some passing ability for sure. And probably my biggest surprise watching tape this winter was studying David Moore's game out of Central Michigan. He also opted out of the season, but going back to his game against Miami in 2019, I just came away impressed with his situational awareness and his ability to move on to secondary targets in the passing game every play. He had a solid Tropical Bowl All-Star game this past January and is another one of those guys that has those work-withable talents at the NFL level. Let's round out this year's QB crop with prospects 21 through 23. Davis Mills of Stanford was a highly touted high school recruit his senior season, but his injuries curtailed his collegiate career. But he does flash some ability throwing the football. You just hope that he's finally over the injury bug that plagued him out there in Palo Alto. Peyton Ramsey out of Northwestern is intriguing to me. He's a legit gamer who transferred from Indiana, and all he did was help the Wildcats to a Big Ten Western Division title and was going toe-to-toe with Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Ramsey makes quick decisions with the football and thrives in a short, quick passing game, and those abilities, in my opinion, would help him hold a job in the NFL for at least a decade plus. All right, let's have some fun with some of the prospect superlatives of this draft class. The most pro-ready prospect to me is Trevor Lawrence. We spoke about it earlier. All the traits that he has from a physical standpoint plus the experience just makes him ready to step in from day one and lead a football team. The strongest arm, Kellen Mond. He legit throws a football like it's a BB or a baseball. I can only imagine the RPMs that he gets on that football. He has the strongest arm in the draft class, although you can make a case for a guy like Jamie Newman to have that ability as well. Trey Lance, to me, is the best runner, not only because he's a fast guy, but he also has the physicality that you want when a quarterback's running the football. He's a guy that's definitely a +1 in the run game. The most clutch to me is Justin Fields. I spoke about it earlier. You talk about the Deshaun Watson-esque ability. From that standpoint, Fields to me provides the most value when you're talking about someone that you need to make a key play, a key drive in a ball game. Mac Jones of Alabama has the best accuracy in my opinion. That ball just gets to where it should be for the receiver every time. Both placement and accuracy is top notch. Now the best on the move is Zach Wilson. I think this is the guy that would really thrive in a Kyle Shanahan offense. You look at him and Ian Book, you could put on here as well. Those guys throw well on the run. And the biggest upside, you could talk about Jamie Newman once again, but Donald Hammond III, strictly because he's coming from a triple option offense and shows enough passing ability, in my opinion, to warrant this type of praise. He's the guy that you get him out there in the preseason, you let him work through the nuances of the quarterback position from a passing perspective in conjunction with what he has already as a run threat, and you have yourself a premier prospect down the line. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan Scouting. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating. That's where you can find our Scout Team podcast, and keep it locked every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Game Plus Network for our Scout Team show, where we will have a lot more of NFL and CFL draft related content coming down the pike.